Hello everyone, it's Mike Levin. Tuesday, October 8th, and I thought I'd do a really short video because there's not a lot of battery on my phone. But I'm out on my walk during the day, sometimes which I take, and I had thought to myself, I'm engaged in an interesting phase of my career. Now what I am is I'm a search engine optimizer, which means I help clients, people who I work for, get their website and pages from their website positioning high in search results when someone performs a search or speaks a search into their desktop or mobile phone. And it's a field that's always in transition, and for quite a few years the shout has been SEO is dead, long live SEO, which followed on to content is king as these key terms, because quality in the end wins, because the filters of various sorts, Google and social media and other methods, are becoming ever better at collectively allowing signals and votes and consumption, signals of consumption, those are signals too, to accumulate and to create a readable landscape of what's popular on the internet, on what search terms, and consequently who's getting what traffic on what search terms. And if you take human attention, of all humans who are consuming media, call that a measurable quantity, percentage of all human attention, for any given time period, it is a zero-sum game. All the attention of all these humans is being divvied out amongst all these different media, online, offline, maybe perhaps even human discourse between humans, and that is the contest. On a daily basis, winners and losers are divvied out by who has had what people's attention, based either on search, which is Google's main trick, or increasingly by the more passive consumption of the feed, which is mostly Facebook, but which is also Twitter and Instagram and other media, where the feed lets things circumstantially come to your attention based on prior signals and it knowing what to feed to you. So my field weaves in and out through this search process with different platforms such as phones and desktop, and the consumption of various media. TikTok you hear about now more often. And these new media often tend to be tied to young demographics. So Facebook was at one time a young person's thing, then it became Tumblr, a young person's thing. That's now almost gone now as a thing. It's changed hands a few times. It had some dramatic policy changes, and what could have been a billion-dollar company, they now I think are barely valued at 50 million. And it went on to Vine, which was those short video clips, come and gone, bought by Twitter, dissolved away, and there was all these followers on Vine. And so you see fads and trends have a tremendous role in this, and while Tumblr and Vine may come and go, Google search is a permanent, long-lasting thing, and the means and methods by which we help persuade Google to serve up our quality content remains a field. So SEO is dead, but long live SEO. What we're seeing, just like we're seeing driving cars go from, not even being able to cross the desert to being actually self-driving, with, the remaining issues being the impossible situations that barely even a human would be able to handle. Yet, when a car makes a mistake, it's going to be, media frenzy, unless they take it really slow and cautious and over the long term. I think there's these levels of artificial intelligence, just like there's these levels of galactic development. And we're at a fairly early level still, and cars have not reached the point where they can make decisions with quite the moral depth as a human and life experience, but they will. They're getting there. That where they are now is surprisingly different from where many people thought they were going to be, which is now they're almost legal in many states. That's crazy, as long as you're attending with it and ready to put your hands back on the wheel. But nonetheless, the field of machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence, although I side with the vein of sci-fi readers who say that is just a ridiculous statement, because anything that can understand that statement that isn't human is going to be insulted, and I tend to side with them on that. But until that arrives, we're going to have all these insect level intelligent things. It'll work its way up through, the lower life forms, but things like insects and crustaceans, up to amphibians and lizards, and eventually mammals, and they'll have very emotion-like things. But that's a field that's going to be very out there. It's going to be controlled by specialists. It's not going to be in our homes every day, except where we're the folks providing the sample data through our media, through making our YouTubes and stuff, because all these media feeds become these machine learning systems' eyes and ears. They can experience the world through their senses much the same way we can, although their conscious or thinking parts are going to be limited to some very limited hardware. So it's not going to be everywhere. It's not going to be your home computer and stuff. It's it's neural network specialized hardware. It's starting to come out. There's like the Raspberry Pi equivalent of it that NVIDIA put out. I'm going to use that, but it's not my field. It's too much of a specialist thing. I'll dabble there, but I'm not going to be teaching the machines to become aware and smarter about things, except insofar as perhaps keyword grouping, image tagging, and the like, that can help with process automation at a company. So while artificial intelligence might be a far way off, and as tempted as I am to run where the ball's being thrown instead of where it's at, I'm a pragmatist. I want to make good money here in the Emerald City, right on the edge of New York, the greatest city in the world, where all these wonderful media jobs are, and data and jobs are, and there's going to be terms developing for it, and I tend to side on either data master or this other term that has become more intriguing to me over recent times, which is robotic process automation. Forget SEO, forget the fact most of my work is happening in Python. I am automating processes that a human could do. And there's dramatically different ways to go about this, from things that monitor what you're doing and start to learn in more of the machine learning leading its way to some sort of intelligence, far be it human, but machine learning. It can do a task better, faster, it's 24/7 and in parallel, so it can play the role of multiple employees. You can do that. I think it's even available in the free and open source world, these machine learning systems for robotic process automation in the more high-end sense where you have to be a specialist. I'm going to automate Chrome, and I'm going to stick to the Unix/Linux terminal, Node.js, and various forms of Python. Sometimes the Python will be embedded in external funky hardware things doing fun little experiments, but most of the time I'm doing back office process automation. And that's pretty much where I'm going to end this video. It's a nice little 10-minute video, but for people who follow me on/off and see me get into Python and then Pandas and Jupyter Notebook, it's good for you to know that this is where I'm going. And as I produce more videos, it's going to be zeroing in on the topics here and there to mostly use Python, mostly running on Linux type systems, mostly to do process automation, automating Chrome, the same way Google is using Chrome as the main crawler of Googlebot. So when Google visits your site to sample it for search engine results, it's using Chrome. I'm automating Chrome exactly the way Google is, using their tools to do many of the same things they are, reading the DOM. I'm going to be broadening myself to go beyond Python into JavaScript, because to do this with Chrome, you want to be using JavaScript on Node.js running local on your system and ready to deploy to the cloud with multiple instances. So whatever you set up on a single Linux machine, you can say, give me 1,000 of those. So any task you run could be run at scale relatively cheaply, either in the cloud or on hardware you control. That would be 1,000 Raspberry Pis. Oracle made an announcement about a massive parallel computing system they made on Raspberry Pis to do Oracle-like work. So all this stuff you can do in the cloud or at home on your own PC or on microcomputers is completely accessible. Stuff you could be doing and opening the door to you to have these decent salaries in this best city in the world to work at, the Emerald City, of which I am always either in or right across that body of water that separates the Gillikins and Munchkins and Quadlings and Winkies from the Emerald City. There's a body of water that you cross, and those are like the 5 boroughs and Manhattan. So that's the feeling, that's the subject matter, that's the shtick I'm going to be bringing to you here. Sometimes like this, sometimes a talking head video where you see my computer monitor, sometimes where you don't hear anything at all and it's just me journaling. So I got a lot of ways I capture my ideas and express myself to you. So I think I've done enough for this one. Thanks for joining me. Hope to see you again soon, and don't forget to subscribe.